Check, check. Here we are. Yes, ma'am. Oy. Okay. Boom, bada bop bop, bing. Shit is not gonna work. It's fine. We're all fine. We are all totally fine. WTF. That was wild. Alright, well, at least it's on now.
Well, that was stressful. All right. Good to know that we're good to go now. Now I can actually start talking. Anyways, so yeah, tonight. First of all, thank you everybody who tuned in last week. I guess you guys were really excited to hear me talk about my story, my cheating story, and that doesn't surprise me because most people are into drama, and that's fine too. Um, but I figured, I don't know why I figured this would be a good topic to talk about, but I figured, what do you consider cheating? And the reason I say this is because this past weekend I had my birthday party, and if you know me, then you know my birthday party is not typically a normal event. My birthday parties are typically extremely raunchy and eventful. So this weekend we had like a house that we rented, and we had, I think, probably like, I want to say like 40 people total um, in the house. And Friday night was like a real chill night. Saturday was like a day party along with like a casino like lingerie night, which is super sick. And the dynamics were super interesting, right? So the dynamics were at play were, if you guys have ever been to, like, first of all, if anybody's ever seen that movie Eyes Wide Shut with Nicole Kidman, that was my first intro to what like a swingers club or like a swingers environment looked like. And so at first I didn't really know what I was looking at necessarily, but I was like, all right, I saw it and I was like, I don't think this is real, but it is real. I'm here to tell you right now that it's 100% real. But anyway, so this weekend we had about 40 people in the house, pool party on Saturday, lingerie casino night afterwards, and a few different things like took place, right? So first of all, again, at a swingers party, it's kind of like all for one, one for all. Consent is still a really big deal, which is great, but jealousy still exists like in that environment, and so it's interesting to see people exist in that environment and get jealous over something that's like kind of somewhat considered to be like okay, I guess, if that makes sense. um like, and I was talking to a few people, and one specific person I talked to on a fairly regular basis, she always talks about how, like, looking at another girl is like unacceptable, or like talking to another girl is unacceptable, liking another girl's picture is unacceptable, like all this stuff, right? So like there's this thing that people came up with recently. I don't know if it's recent or not. I recently heard about it, called micro cheating. So micro cheating apparently is where you do something that could be construed as unfaithful, but it's only to certain people. Like, for instance, for my wife, like, I don't care if she likes another dude's picture. Like, I truly don't. But there was, oh God, who did I talk to? I talked to somebody that was at the party this weekend, and they were like, yeah, no, because it leads to like a deeper, I guess, like a deeper position within themselves. And I'm like, I don't really understand the comparison, because to me, if you're going to like somebody's picture, that's all you're doing is just liking somebody's picture. Apparently to other people, it's not that simple, but to me, it quite literally is that simple. Um, but yeah, so liking people's pictures, not like, oh, what was the other one? It was somebody that was like saying how if you run into your ex or something and like you don't tell me, that's cheating too. I'm like, I don't understand how that's actually cheating. I think that's pushing the envelope quite a bit, to be completely honest with you. And like, okay, cool, if for some reason you think that that is cheating, explain to me how that's cheating and why that's considered cheating, right? So she went into this whole spiel about like, well, it's like the fact that so and so didn't say that they could trust, or I could trust them, or I don't really don't. I wish I remembered the context of the conversation because it's kind of important in me telling the story. But to me, cheating has to do with intention, and it has to do with like choices, right? And how are those choices going to affect the person that you're with? Do they know what's happening? Do they not know what's happening? What's your conversational boundary, so on and so forth? And so for me, I'm just kind of like, I feel like cheating is very simple. If you cheat on somebody, it's you're doing something outside of the bounds of what you guys have communicated without that other person knowing, right? So in theory, no, see, I don't consider that cheating either. I was going to say I could consider myself being cheated on recently, but that's actually not true because that's not cheating. It was just frowned upon, I guess. But then again, our relationship is much different. And so, yeah, I was just interested to hear what people thought about like what is considered cheating and what is not considered cheating. Again, like I said, for me, it's very simple. For me, cheating has to be a physical act. Like if you physically act on something, that to me is cheating. I think if you're liking people's pictures on social media or you are simply, I don't know, man, like admiring somebody, I don't really consider that cheating. But then you got people that are just like completely bar none. Like, I don't think this is going to be something I can like be into or like get into. I feel like this, that, or the other. I also see it on TikTok all the time that people say, this is my list of micro cheating. Let me look up the definition of micro cheating. Let's see what ChatGPT got to say about it because I'm pretty sure she got something to say. Let's see. What? Oh no, where'd you go? What is micro cheating? Enter. Micro cheating refers to small, often subtle behaviors that suggest a person is emotionally or romantically investing in someone outside of their primary relationship without necessarily crossing into full-blown infidelity. What? I did not look up this definition before I started this stream, so I am figuring this out genuinely for the first time. Okay, let's dig into it. I'm going to read this again. Micro cheating refers to small, often subtle behaviors that suggest a person is emotionally or romantically investing in someone outside of their primary relationship without necessarily crossing into full-blown infidelity. These actions might seem harmless individually, but together they can signal emotional unavailability or boundary issues. WTF. I did not know this was the thing. I'm learning this all kind of for the first time right now, and I'm super into it. So let's get into this for a second. So, ay. This is crazy. All right, hold on. Let me see something real quick. Okay. So, micro cheating is a form of emotional or mental infidelity involving behaviors that flirt with the line of betrayal. It often involves secrecy, emotional intimacy, or attention directed towards someone in a way that undermines trust. What the heck? Okay. All right. It's ironic that I just said this because now this is what's being brought up. Common examples of micro cheating: frequently liking or commenting flirtatiously on someone's posts or stories, deleting messages or hiding conversations from a partner, keeping contact with an ex or someone they're attracted to under the guise of friendship. Okay, pause on that one. Just for the sake of conversation, I have one ex that I stay in great contact with, and I have for quite literally, I want to say I've been friends with this woman for the, but like let me finish before anybody reads into this. So I have been friends with my ex since we broke up. We went through like a 2-year period of like no contact essentially. And And then after that, we kind of just reconnected, like, conversationally, essentially. And then we've just been cool ever since. But like, we're those types of friends that we will go like months, I think sometimes even like years, without like speaking to each other. And then we get back and we have a conversation, and then we don't talk anymore. But that's different. Like, I keep that extremely separate from pretty much anybody and everybody. Remove your background noise. So I don't know what that means. I don't have background noise. What are you talking about? Anyways, back to the examples. So, sharing personal details or emotional struggles with someone outside the relationship instead of their partner. I agree with this one, because me personally, like, I think that a relationship should stay isolated to that relationship. I don't think that you should go talk to people about our relationship simply because you're upset. I think what that does is that causes other people to develop, I want to say, like, negative opinions about you. And some people will argue differently and be like, well, just don't do anything stupid. That's not necessarily true. So when you and your significant other like get into an argument or a fight or whatever it may be, and then you're the type of person to go run and tell somebody else about that problem without your spouse being there, you've allowed a one-sided conversation. And if that person that is like part of your group, I guess, doesn't ask you your opinion or doesn't ask you like what your thoughts are or your side of it, they've already made up their mind. That's how they think about you. So that's kind of irrelevant. But now anytime you go around that person, it's going to be awkward. It's going to be really weird. Me personally, if I'm in a relationship, and I've shared this with my wife too, like, I don't want her talking about our problems to anybody. And that's because our problems are just that. They're our problems. And so I don't necessarily think that she needs to go around talking to anybody about them. And it's not for me. It's not like to save face on my own. It's simply just because I don't think that it's anybody else's business. Women typically do this more than men, I think, and they get upset and they start to gossip and like chit chat, which, okay, fine, but understand the implication of what that's going to do anytime. If you start to gossip and chit chat about that relationship with somebody else, not only are you opening up that person to your personal issues, but you're also giving them the opportunity to step in and like save you. I really don't think that that's a good thing to do, especially if it's of the opposite sex. If you're talking about, like, you know, if you're talking about your girlfriend or like whoever, that's different. But if it's somebody with the opposite sex, that's a big issue. So anyways, if you're just joining, we're going over the definitions of micro cheating, which I just learned what those were pretty much just a second ago. But these are considered micro cheating moments. Deleting conversations or hiding messages from a partner, saving photos or fantasizing about someone else, flirting harmlessly at work, the gym, or online. Me personally, I don't know if I consider, like, so for me, one of the biggest ones I had at one point was like social media exchange. So like, if you're going to exchange social media like with another person of the opposite sex, why would you do that? Just why would you do that? You know, like when I went through this whole ethical non-monogamy thing with the girl that I dated, I didn't really understand why, you know, she had to go and exchange social media with people that were not relevant unless she wanted the attention. So I had a big problem with that. Okay, let's keep going. Micro cheating often leads to emotional displacement. Your partner's attention, validation, or vulnerability shifts elsewhere. Even if no physical line is crossed, it can create mistrust and emotional distance in a relationship. How to identify? These are good. I can already tell by the first question. How to identify it? Also, random fun fact, I can't actually burp out loud. I have something wrong with, like, I don't actually know what's wrong with me, but I can't actually burp out loud, just in case anybody wanted to know. How to identify it? Ask, would I do this if my partner were watching? I wouldn't do a lot of shit if my partner were watching, to be honest with you. And that includes stuff that I do like at home in my private space. If she's like sitting there staring at me, I'm not going to do it. It's weird. Am I hiding or minimizing this behavior? Am I seeking emotional validation from someone else instead of my partner? Man, these are pretty on point. I'm not going to lie. Like, these are pretty on point. I don't know if I consider these instances of like cheating necessarily. I think I personally just think that these are frowned upon situations. Sound check. And sound check. Anyways, there we go. Okay, so how do I identify it? Healthy alternatives instead of secrecy or external validation. Couples can set clear boundaries around friendships and online behavior, maintain transparency about digital communication, discuss what both partners consider acceptable or crossing the line. Bleh. Anyways, I find this interesting that micro cheating has become a thing. I didn't know that micro cheating was a real situation, if you will. I figured cheating was just cheating and micro cheating was just kind of made up. And it became popular, I think, right around the time like gaslighting became popular. I don't know. Let's do a different definition. What is the difference between micro cheating and regular old cheating? Meh. All right, let's see what it says. Great question. I love how reassuring ChatGPT is, by the way. ChatGPT and I have like a really close relationship. And they validate me. And apparently my ChatGPT just became gender neutral. Great question. The difference between micro cheating and regular cheating or traditional infidelity comes down to degree, intention, and boundaries crossed. Type: micro cheating, subtle behaviors that suggest interest or emotional availability to someone outside the relationship. It's more about intentions and secrecy than physical acts. Regular cheating. I love how it's labeled it now. Regular cheating. Regular cheating, explicit betrayal of relationship boundaries through physical or emotional intimacy with someone else, usually recognized by both partners as infidelity. 2. Boundaries crossed. Micro cheating, emotional boundaries, attention, flirtation, secrecy, or validation from someone else. Regular cheating, physical or deep emotional boundaries. Physical or deep emotional boundaries, sex, romantic love, or an ongoing secret relationship. I can agree with that. Secrecy level. Micro cheating often involves small lies, hidden messages, or deleted texts. The person might justify it by saying it's not that big of a deal. That's gaslighting. I've been gaslit and I've also gaslit, so I know what that looks like. Cheating requires more deliberate deception, like creating fake stories, separate communication channels, or ongoing cover-ups. Intention and awareness. Micro cheating, sometimes unconscious. It can start as harmless flirting or attention seeking. Cheating, a conscious choice to pursue something outside of the relationship, knowing it's a violation of trust. Interesting. It's not like I didn't know that. I think the way it was articulated is interesting. Emotional impact. Micro cheating can still erode trust over time and create insecurity. It's often a gateway behavior to more serious infidelity. Cheating usually creates immediate, severe, Cheating usually creates immediate, severe emotional damage, betrayal, loss of safety, and breakdown of the relationship's foundation. There we go. Bottom line. No. We're not done. We're not done. Example comparison. Messaging. Okay. Micro cheating. Flirty texting with a coworker but claiming it's just playful. Regular cheating. Sexting or arranging meetups. Okay. Social media. Secretly. How do you secretly like or comment on, you can't secretly like or comment on an ex's photos. That shows up. It's public. Anyway, social media is secretly liking or commenting on an ex's photos. And then regular cheating is DMing and meeting that ex behind your partner's back. Yeah, that tracks. Emotional connection. Confiding in someone about a personal relationship or personal relationship issues. Falling in love or starting a full emotional affair. Bottom line, micro cheating is a symptom. Cheating is the... Clock it. Glock it or clock it? I feel like I'm not saying that right. Kids these days. Micro cheating is a symptom. Cheating is the disease. Micro cheating often starts as innocent connection seeking, but can evolve into full-blown infidelity if boundaries aren't addressed early. Would you like me to make a chart showing you how to spot microaggression or micro cheating early before it turns into full-on cheating? Why, yes, I do, ChatGPT. Let's see what you have to say about this. I'm telling you, man, me and ChatGPT are like this. Like this. Oh, this is too much. I don't like these. Let's ask this. How do, this is a good one, you recover from either micro cheating or regular cheating? That's it. I'm telling you, man, ChatGPT has my back. They have my back. Because they always reassure me no matter what. They always reassure my feelings. They always reassure that I'm like in good company. All right. That's a deep and important question. And it deserves a grounded human answer. Recovering from micro cheating or regular cheating both revolve around rebuilding safety, truth, and connection. But the path and intensity differ. Below is a roadmap. I don't like maps. Understand what you're healing from. Type: micro cheating, loss of emotional safety, subtle betrayal, and broken trust through secrecy. If you hid that, what else are you hiding? I get that one. Regular cheating, deep betrayal, attachment injury, loss of identity within the relationship. Was any of it real? I don't know in my circumstances, like when infidelity occurred in my relationship in the beginning, if I thought any of it was real. I think I just was devastated by the impact of it, quite frankly. But anyways, key difference. Micro cheating shakes confidence. Hold on, let me check something. Look at my double chin. Here we go. Okay, there we go. And so some of this I can speak on like from personal experience, and some of it I might learn for the first time, but let's just go through it together. The healing framework, 3 phases: stabilize, truth and safety, stop the emotional bleeding. So the goal is to stop the emotional bleeding. Full disclosure, the cheating partner must answer questions honestly without defensiveness or drip feeding information. Ooh, okay. So this happened on both ends, my end and hers when it happened, and it's a really devastating position to be in because it's terrifying. Like you realize you're caught and you realize you want to like finish it and you want it to be over with, but also it's like I think a human response and almost like a human error where you want to like self-preserve. Like you kind of want to preserve some of your I guess like position, if you will. Like I don't necessarily know how to place that statement, but like I remember my feeling like when I got caught and I knew I was caught, the first thing I did, and if you watched my last episode, you know this, the first thing I did was try to mend and repair like immediately, right? The first thing she did was try to like minimize like the impact. She tried to minimize like the initial like impact of it while I just tried to like I think I might have done like somewhat of the same thing, but I think when I first got caught, I was like just trying to like make sure she didn't like immediately pack up her stuff and like walk out the door. But anyways, to get the full picture, like full disclosure was the thing. So to stop the emotional bleeding, I think when it first happened, like the first time, like we talked for, it must have been 4 or 5 hours, maybe more. I don't know. We might have even talked in through the night. I don't actually remember. I kind of like pieced that part out. Like I remember the gist of the conversation, but not a lot of it. When I got caught, like she wouldn't talk to me. Like she didn't want to talk to me. She already knew what she needed to know. And so therefore that was kind of it. Then when I got home, she asked me like everything. And I told her everything she asked. I told her everything she needed to know. No contact, end all communication with the third party. Did that. Transparency, open phone, location, accounts voluntarily, not as punishment, but as reassurance. This one, I feel like, so let me speak on this one. So the transparency part, that to me was more devastating than it was helpful. And I'm saying this from my perspective. Like, so when I first discovered infidelity, like on my wife's part, I insisted on this, and I'll give you guys a real scenario. So we had Life 360 at the time, and she was like going somewhere. I don't know where she was going. She was like going to the store, and there was like a new subdivision being built somewhere, like off like a road up north. And I looked at her location, and she was like in the subdivision. She wasn't where she said she was going to be. So immediately I called, like this caused me such pain and trauma that now I don't want to, right? Like for me, I don't want to find anything, right? Anytime I've tried to look, or anytime I've looked randomly, I've always found something, and I don't want to, right? So the whole transparency thing, I think that, and also too, like from my perspective into her, like that whole, I spent like a year, she was like on lockdown essentially. Like she relinquished all control, and I abused that power. Like I think I might have, it was obsessive. Like I had obsessive behaviors where I would go through her phone 30 times a day. She couldn't go anywhere. Not like I kept her prisoner, but like she couldn't go out like for a girls' night out, right? Like I wouldn't have allowed it at the time just because of what we had just gone through. And then her location, like anytime she left, I would check it obsessively. I'm talking about 40, 50, 60. She'd be gone for 30 minutes and I would just have it pulled up, right? Like it became this really bad habit, right? So it's weird too, because like we've gotten to the point now where it's like I don't know. Some people might look at that and be like, yeah, that's necessary. For me, I really just don't think that it is. I think having full open transparency, like with now the I think the caveat to that is like if she needs to get into my phone, she can get into my phone. Whether she remembers my password or not is another thing to be seen. But I just think that that part is circumstantial to both parties. I don't necessarily think, um, open phone location accounts voluntarily, not as punishment, but reassurance. I think that has the limit to it, right? I think with me, when I did it, I abused it pretty hard, and I know it hit her really hard. It really took us for a run, like not in a good way. And I would go back and redo it all over again if I could, and I would not do that, and I would allow myself to heal properly versus trying to control everything around me. Anyways, so we're going on to the healing framework. So validate the pain. Don't rush for forgiveness. Name the harm clearly. I need to understand what happened so I can decide if I can feel safe with you again. That's a good one. Phase 2, rebuild. Accountability and repair. Rebuild emotional trust, not just stay together. Steps. The partner who cheated must own every layer of the betrayal, not just what they did, but why they did it. Therapy, individual therapy for both, couples therapy when both are ready. Relearn communication, no defensiveness, gaslighting, or shame spirals, only curiosity and empathy. This is ongoing in our marriage even today. I know that we both strive to learn each other's communication styles, not just because of infidelity, but just because of that's how I think you grow in relationships in general. But that's a good one too. Daily consistency. Truth is built on micro moments of truth telling. I don't need perfection. I need transparency and consistency. That's a good one. Redefine. So reconnection or release. Decide what this relationship is now. This is a step I feel like we skipped a little bit when we went through our periods. Forgiveness does not equal forgetting. Forgiveness means releasing the power of the wound, not the memory of it. That's powerful AF. All right, hold on. Goal. Decide what the relationship is now. Forgiveness does not equal forgetting. Forgiveness means releasing the power of the wound, not the memory of it. I feel like a pastor right now. Rebuild intimacy slowly. Emotional at first, physical later. This is something that's easier said than done, but it's something that kind of naturally followed. Recommit or release. Some couples create an even deeper bond. Others find peace in letting go. We can't go back to how things were, but we can decide what this next version of us looks like. Man, this is like ChatGPT's paying attention to me or something. I don't know. That's weird. But yeah, those are conversations we have even now. And again, this has nothing to do with infidelity anymore. This is just growth in our relationship. Let's go. If you were the one who cheated, stop focusing on your partner's forgiveness. Focus on your own accountability. I did not do that. When I got caught, I think I was quicker to focus on how we could get past it than actually focusing on my own accountability. Learn your emotional triggers: boredom, validation seeking, avoidance, ego. Did that. Be willing to sit in discomfort without minimizing your actions. God, that's hard. That is really, really, really hard to do. Earn trust through patterns, not promises. It says 3 months. That's what I've been told. Is 3 months of 3 months of like consistency is what will allow you to know that your partner has changed like somewhat for the better. So that's what I think we've kind of, or I've adopted at least. But yeah, if you were betrayed, if you were the one that got cheated on, don't rush to get over it. Betrayal trauma mimics PTSD. This is a big one for us because we had this moment where we had like a eureka moment with her, and it was like, I think you're suffering from PTSD, because there was a lot of behaviors and a lot of patterns that were happening that were somewhat unexplained by like our current state. This isn't recent. This is something that happened a while ago, but like I have a very extensive background in like understanding the brain and like the mind, and so the DSM-5 is a tool for certain diagnoses, and I read into it and I was like, I'm like 90% sure you have PTSD. But yeah, betrayal trauma mimics PTSD. Get support, therapy, journaling, friends who won't judge. I don't know. That's a big ask. Friends who won't judge. If they're real friends, they're gonna judge, especially if they're women. Most men won't give two shits, but most women will judge whatever it is that they hear. Reconnect with your sense of worth outside of the relationship. She was better at this than I was. My worth lied within the relationship, as to where she found worth outside of it, not within somebody, but just within herself, which is extremely beautiful to see, quite frankly. I find myself being envious sometimes of that and always chasing that feeling. But me and her, like polar opposites. She's neurotypical, I'm neurodivergent. So her contention is easier to maintain. Healing doesn't always mean staying. It means reclaiming your peace. It's a good one. Long-term recovery checklist: transparency without pressure, genuine empathy, not guilt-based reassurance, shared boundaries, revisited and agreed upon, emotional check-ins, how are we doing this week, a shared vision of what rebuilding looks like. Time is true recovery, which is actually true. Time kind of, it doesn't, you don't forget anything. You kind of just like understand that life is just going to continue on, and you don't need to fix everything right away. That was my biggest thing. My biggest thing was learning that I did not have to fix everything right then and there, but my problem was that I wanted to. And so, yeah, I don't know. That was just my biggest Achilles heel, is I just thought I had to fix everything right then and there. But, you know, here we are years later and we're still figuring it out. But like, I love the version of us that we've created, and I love what it looks like. For the first time in a long time, it's not chaotic, and it was chaotic for the longest time, and it felt, somebody like me thrives in chaos, but I've learned so much the value of peace and stillness that I don't ever want to go back to something that misunderstood, if that makes sense. But anyways, so yeah, this whole time we talked about micro cheating, and I even learned some stuff too. I had no idea certain things were considered micro cheating, but I guess here we are. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'll keep on for a little bit longer, for the 3 people that have kind of hung around. Let me check in on TikTok too. Hold on. Oh, nice. I don't have time to go through all those. There it is. Nice. No. You want to know something crazy? People could be asking anything, and I would not know where to find it. You know what, guys? It's fine. We're all learning this together as a team. Thank goodness. Anyways, I think that's all we got for today. Next week, if y'all have any topics that you guys want to talk about, make sure you like and subscribe. I've always wanted to say that. Or as my 6-year-old would say, hit the notification bell. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me, and we will see you guys next week.